All right, welcome back to Blue by 90. I'm Justin, joined by Tanner today, and we just have to keep talking about a bad football team, and I'm not happy about it. I'm not gonna lie. I'm the Stephen A. Smith. I am having a very bad time right now.
Yeah, I've actually decided to become a Toledo Mudhens super fan.
I love
So
that. In November, I love that.
any up and coming prospects, I'm excited for. Any guys who have been a bust at the major league level going down to Toledo, I'll be your biggest supporter. For those that are listening on Spotify, I have a Mudhens hat on that I got today. I was on sale, and I was like, you know what, I got to support the AAA club.
I used to work for the Mudhens. Have a few of their hats as well. Great squad.
They have some great hats.
Yeah.
The away caps with the bird on it, great. No, just a disappointing weekend if you're a Michigan fan. Michigan goes to Bloomington, which obviously we're going to touch on, and we'll touch on the basketball game as well. Close one to Wake Forest, but yeah, just a rough outing this weekend. I don't know, man. It's funny. I made a phone call to my uncle who's a Michigan fan, and we talk ball a lot. And I called him to tell him there's so many coaches that just have no stones in this sport. And referring to Ryan Walters and Purdue on kicking a field goal, which they then missed. And then Michigan comes out and does the exact same thing. How many times did Michigan get to first and goal scenarios and run, kick? It was nauseating. It was just, I have no words for it.
It was brutal. From, we're people that have called another program soft for, a few years now. And we've been right about that. Let's make that clear. But we played very, very soft on Saturday and coached very, very soft. I actually don't want to say we played because I thought the players played very hard.
They're dragging this coaching staff along at this point.
I do, before we get into just being negative, because there isn't a whole lot to be positive about, I do want to give a shout out to all these guys who, especially the Mason Graham, Kenneth Grant, like the guys that could be mailing it in completely are battling their ass off in a game at Indiana where like nothing's going right in the first half, right? And you could totally just say, you know what, let's just pack it up, get on the bus. But they didn't. They battled their ass off, battled back, put themselves in a position to win. And unfortunately, I agree with you. This coaching staff let this team down once again. And this is the there have been a number of games that this exact scenario has happened. And so, let's, I guess, start from the beginning of the game where, you get down to you force a 3 and out, right away. You have a great drive. Honestly, that was like a beautiful drive from Davis Warren from this offense, something we haven't seen a lot this year, where it's like a 7-8 minute type drive. You get down to the 5-yard line. It's third and goal from the 5, and you bring Alex Orji in again. And this is nothing against Alex Orji, honestly, at all.
None of these are his fault.
It is just, you could see it every single time. And other teams that we played earlier this year have said this. Okay, when he comes in, the safeties come up, the linebackers crash immediately at the snap of the ball, and there's nowhere to go. And so it's like, I'm just banging my head against the wall going, what the fuck are we doing? Like, that is, I'm sorry, this is not like some grand scheme and like there's some loophole. Like, this is basic shit, Tanner.
It is, man. It is. And I don't know if we want to group certain coaching items together or just talk about them as we talk about the plays, but the Alex Orji empty backfield, receiver comes in motion, like it is so clearly quarterback power. Like anybody with a brain can see that. Anybody that's played any level of football from Pee Wee all the way up through high school, college, or professional knows that is what the play is. He fumbles, very clearly a fumble. The announcers were talking about Sharon potentially challenging for targeting, which, would have been like, hey, I get it. You're trying to, steal a possession back. And then in the post game, he says that somebody buzzed down and said his knee might have been down. On what fucking planet?
He was Ant quote tweeted, it was like he was standing straight up. It was like, it wasn't even close. I was so confused. And honestly, the announcer saying that it was like, their thought was like the only thing he could possibly be challenging for would be targeting.
That's 2 weeks in a row.
I know.
That is 2 weeks in a row that they've had a horrendous challenge. It's reminiscent of the early days of Dan Campbell. So maybe there is some sort of hope if like that's one of your flaws, but like I could go do that job. I can watch the replays and buzz down and say, hey, you probably should challenge this or there's nothing to see here. Like it's incompetence. And that's just kind of a microcosm for what the program has been this season, where there's just a lot of things that don't really make sense that they decide to do from a play calling perspective, from a personnel perspective, from the game management type of things. None of it makes sense.
I totally agree with you. It's like unexplainable. It really is unexplainable. And I, once again, I don't want to harp on Sharon as that much, but man, it just feels like you could then go to the podium and have no answers. And this is again a winnable football game.
Yep.
Like I hate we just keep beating the same drum. I get it, but I mean this team should be 8-2.
Yeah. We come on here, we say the same things every time. Like it's the same issues, it's the same problems. And so it's like maybe that's just what this team will be this year. There's gonna have to be a complete
It's
shake-up.
not a maybe. It is. It is what this team's gonna be this year.
Right.
Unfortunately.
I use a lot of qualifying words when the sentence doesn't require one. I need to work on that. But this team should, to your point, be 8-2. Their wins are kind of in spite of coaching. There's been a lot of really boneheaded decisions all the way from the first game when they decided not to go for two when they were up 22-10 and kicked the extra point against Fresno State. There's been a lot of kind of writing on the wall. So certainly you have, if you're Sharon, you have time to figure this out. I don't even want to think about what happens if they lose out. That would be a much different conversation at that point, in my opinion. This is a program that just won a national championship this year. In 2024, we're 9 months from the national championship, and we're just having the worst time ever. Which, look, from a vibes perspective, we just won the national championship. That's sick. That's awesome. But, like, this team and the direction that things are going on the field are not ideal. So, and when the best thing that happens to your program is that LSU gets boat raced by Alabama because a quarterback you want is visiting there, like, that's kind of a problem to me. So there's a lot of other coaching items I want to get to, but there's always obviously room for improvement, Justin, but it just feels like 2014.
It does, man. It does. It's stupid mistakes that, like, I don't know. I mean, let's look at the stats, right? 246 total yards for Indiana. Like, again, if we want to focus on the positives, Wake actually had a masterclass second half. Balled out. That defense was playing out of their minds in the second half.
TJ Guy was balling. Cameron Brandt, the interior D line. I thought Barham was playing well. I thought Houseman was playing well. Secondary cleaned it up in the second half. It was an improvement. Now, again, there's still been a lot of problems with this defense. And Wink saying that tackling has not been an issue, and then you lose the game essentially because you can't tackle on what would have turned into like a 2nd and 12, ends up a 2nd and 3, and then they win the game.
Literally. Just
kind of, again, a microcosm of this program. So I just, good for Wink, good for his guys. They played well in the second half. I thought in the first quarter, I'm like, wow, they're going to pick their score in this one. They hunkered down. They played well. And honestly, we've been hard on Wink because of some of the weird things that he has done that have not worked. But, he's put the team in position to win. If you have an offense that could just score 25 points, you've got however many more wins on the season. You're probably at 8-2 with just a below average.
Last week, this Indiana offense put up 47 unanswered points on MSU.
They put up 56 on Nebraska. They could have scored 77 if they wanted to.
And so you held them to less than 250 yards and 20 total points. And and honestly, like, you get the ball back multiple times and you still, like, 80 yards seems like 800 yards to go.
Oh God, dude, when they showed like the end zone shot, I'm looking, I was just thinking to myself, like, that's so many yards. Like,
so far to go.
We're screwed.
So far to go. And so I just feel like then let's talk about Kalal Mullings. So Sharon comes out at halftime and says that Donovan Edwards and Ben Hall, who has gotten very few snaps, I like him in the future a lot. Ben Hall is going to be great for us. I really do believe that. Not right now. Kalel Mullings has single-handedly won us the 5 games that we've won, right? Like, not truly, but like he has been the key piece. And you're going to sit here. So, like, if there's one thing that you're going to be like, yeah, that's one thing we don't need to change right now. It's getting the ball to Kalel Mullings. And you give the ball to Donovan Edwards. I actually thought Donovan had a pretty good game too for what he could do. Like, yes. That's not saying much, right? But like for what he was given, I thought he ran the ball well. He had good vision and he had a couple good cuts and made something out of nothing. But at the end of the day, you don't play Kalel Mullings. You in short yardage situation on the goal line, he's not even in the game. Yeah. He's our power back. We're running Ben fucking Hall, man. Again, this is not on Ben Hall, but like if you're gonna run it up the gut, why are we not running it with Kalel?
Yeah, man, I really don't know what the decision was there. And, I think, again, this kind of the way it comes back to the same things and the same reasons why Michigan was so dominant the last 3 years is the offensive line play, which is awful. There was a screenshot. I'm not sure if it was Jay Dew who put it out on Twitter, but I saw it. And it was the Kalel run where he kind of had an ability to cut back, but he had kind of jump cut to the right because if Evan Link had gotten his block, he might have scored. Because there was one single high safety deep and everybody else had done their job. And so, again, we've been tough on Evan Lincoln in this show, but just a lot of these personnel issues, there's going to have to be wholesale changes moving forward.
I mean, listen, I know that you're asking Blake Frazier a lot to play as a freshman, but like, can things get worse? Or
Andrew Sprague, like any of these
Sprague, Gentry, like I'm just saying,
Gentry's hurt, but yeah,
sorry, but like still, just it's very, very frustrating.
Can we talk about the pivotal moment in this game? And there's a lot to talk about, and I'm kind of jumping around, but I really have to get this off my chest. This really pissed me off. The punt when Michigan, I think, is down. I think they might have been down 17-15 at this point. And the punt is short. And so Samaj keeps waving his hands and lets it bounce another 20 yards and then finally picks it up. And it's like, what are you doing? That was a huge swing. And then so Michigan has to punt. And I believe this was the drive that allowed Indiana to get a field goal. But Dolman's punt was so bad. Like it was like a 50-yard swing between the two plays, the punt and the punt return.
Correct. And
like
the guy caught it going 100 miles. The Indiana punt returner caught it going 100 miles an hour back towards our end zone. And again, that was one time you needed a good punt to pin them back a little bit and flip the field.
And where's Tyler Morris?
I don't know.
What has Samaj Morgan done in this season as a punt returner to say, you know what, we got to have him out there?
I don't know, man.
It cost you 25 yards. In a game where you have 206 yards of total offense or whatever the hell it was, putrid amount. And then we talked about this, like just the fascination with, oh my gosh, we finally got inside the 10-yard line. Points are at a premium. You're playing a team who is number 1 in the country in scoring or number 2 in the country. Like you've got to be able to put up 6. You can't just settle for field goals. So for Michigan to get into, whether it was from Zeke Berry's interception, Zeke has had a rough year, but that was a hell of a play. Really wish he could have stayed up and scored because that would have been nice. But you get the ball to the 7-yard line. What do you do? Run. One of those is an orgy run, and then you kick the field goal. And then you get down, and what do you do? I mean, you have to, you could kick a long field goal. Zavada's a dog. That kid is a stud. I wish we could just have him forever. But, like, just this mindset of, no, we're going to keep it close. Like, it felt like they weren't actually trying to win the game. It felt like they were just trying to keep it close against Indiana. I know they're number 8 in the country, but you should be able to go out and have a mentality of we're going to win this game. That scares me for the future. If that's the mentality in these types of games on the road when you're a 14-point dog, you have no cojones to say, you know what? I'm going to ride or die with my guys. I'm going to Davis Warren had 2 touchdowns in the red zone last week against the number 1 team in the country. I know he struggled, regressed a little bit, but hey, I'm going to give 16 a shot. It was bailing out of the pocket, so I don't know, man. It was just a lot of weird things happened.
Well, I don't think he felt comfortable with how the O-line was playing, is my gut on that.
Would anybody?
I would literally be sprinting out of there as soon as I got the ball. But I have two things. One, if you're gonna go run, why not just go tush push with Orgy from the 7, right? 3 times. If you're gonna do that,
screw it.
I don't know. Just try it.
Where's the outside runs, by the way? Where are the runs outside the tackle box? Everything is inside.
Never a run outside the tackle.
Test their linebackers.
It was so easy for their linebackers to just immediately come up. And the other thing too, how do we not try to get it to Colston Loveland in the red zone? Right? I know that they had the one play. I think it was it a 2-point conversion where we tried to get him on the out route, I believe,
and then he had to go back to Peyton.
Yeah, right. But we said this last week about like the Nico Collins thing. How can you not try to get the ball to Colston? Like, he is almost unstoppable, and even if they're double covering, like, then somebody else is going to be open. Like, it drives me nuts that we aren't going to give that a shot in the red zone.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. I'd rather just throw up a fade to 18. Why not? Let them go moss somebody. That's better than whatever the hell they're coming up with. Again, just, it seems like this staff pisses down their leg anytime they get inside the 15-yard line. Like, anytime they get close to the end zone, which is hilarious because the field's already shrunk. It's not like you have any space to maneuver when you're inside the 20s because you have 10 guys that are playing within 10 yards of the line of scrimmage. You have a single high safety. And sometimes that safety's creeping down because you have no ability to even threaten to throw the ball downfield. You have no routes that go downfield. You have no threat of taking the top off the defense. They don't respect you, and they shouldn't.
No, they shouldn't. Why would they? We
and
didn't take a single deep shot, did we? Like,
nope. Like, you have, like, I understand the chances of it being completed are probably slim to none. But when you have a single high safety like that, and you have 10 guys within 7 to 10 yards of the line of scrimmage, I don't care. Just throw it. Just overthrow it. Yeah. Why not?
We had the one to Samaj late where he tried to come back to the ball. He actually had him beat, I think, and if Davis
there was a lot of poor passes from Davis, unfortunately. I think that he got happy feet, and that affected his ability to throw the ball because the first drive, he was phenomenal. He was putting the ball on the money. It looked like a continuation from the Oregon game. And then there were a lot of times, I bet if you went back and watched the All-22, you would see a lot of open receivers, but he was either drifting back in the pocket like he was playing Madden, or had pressure and was trying to run and just had no ability to set his feet and throw. Because there was the one to Colston that Colston completely burned his man, and it just was high and wide to him. I think it was kind of on their side of the field. It might have set Michigan up inside Indiana's 30. The one to Samaj you mentioned, there's probably a couple others I'm not remembering off the top of my head, but yeah, it was just an atrocious offensive performance yet again. And I don't know. I think there's got to be wholesale changes. We'll see. I mean, Wink's got a big test in 3 weeks. So, I've been pretty hard on Wink and a lot of the things that he's done. If they continue to play like that, then okay. Like, maybe he's figuring college out a little bit. Don't need you taking a shot at the Giants. Just don't care for that. If you were 10-0, yeah, you could say it, but you're 5-5.
Why can't we just shut up and take our lumps? Like, that bothers me. I think
Michigan is not the platform for you to get back at your former employer, especially when you took a defense with 4 first-round picks and are playing like this. Again, they played well in the second half, but up to that point, after giving up 38 to Oregon, just don't need to hear it, honestly. So, but I think special teams have been awful. That's been a staple over the last 10 years with Michigan. They've had good special teams. This special teams unit across the board has been awful. I will say props to Jordan Marshall for trying to make something happen in the kick return game. I don't know why he's the only guy that they want to put back there other than Keyshawn Harris. Like, can we get an athlete back there to try to have some sort of momentum in a game when your offense is bad? Like, because if you started the 25 versus the 15, okay, sure, you're going to go 3 and out anyways. But if you, on the off chance you break one out, then maybe you have good field position. You win the field position battle. I don't know. I just don't understand some of the decisions that have been made in regards to any of this team, but especially on special teams. You have a guy solely dedicated to special teams and they're bad. Like, that could be used elsewhere. I think with Kirk Campbell, I've seen enough at this point. I'm there. It's just been so bad, and I know he's not got a lot to work with, but the some of the play calling, just
when you finally have gotten into a position to score, he can't. right? So it's like, I agree with you. If it was like, hey, when he does have stuff to work with, then he has a great play call. But like, it's not just a talent issue on the offensive side of the ball. There's no doubt about that. So I think they've got to, I don't know.
Hey, have we seen mesh yet? Have we seen any drag routes with our fast receivers, like the two that Michigan has? No? Okay. Any screens, any bubbles, anything that looks like a college offense in the year 2024? I know they ran a couple screens, but it's like the only thing they have in the bag is a flea flicker, and that doesn't work. Teams are onto that. Like,
but it's a flea flicker with one guy out there still. Like,
yeah, it's a one-man route. It's like, all right, cool. It's just it's nauseating. Should we talk about the last Indiana possession that I think pissed literally everyone off?
When they sealed it?
When they didn't call a timeout for 30 seconds?
Yeah. Go ahead.
I mean, I don't really have much to add. I think that tells the story itself. You're not going to win, but like, what are you doing?
What possibly... I don't understand waiting. Like, I don't understand.
Sharon said that they were discussing what the play call is going to be. Brother, you call the timeout so the clock stops, so then you have time to discuss what the play call in the situation is.
Correct.
So that is multiple times in a row, multiple weeks in a row, with just multiple bad decisions, in my opinion. You talk about the timeout you take way too late. You talk about the horrible challenges that you throw the flag for. There were some other things that we talked about in the Oregon game last week that I absolutely hated. So, and it's just been, again, just a continuation of just like, there's not been improvement from the coaching perspective. I think you've seen improvement on the field, certainly. I think Brandon Hillman played his ass off. That kid's a dog. We talked about Mason Graham and Kenneth Grant, maybe some of their best plays in the season last night against Indiana. Zeke Berry has had a really rough year. I think a lot of people have been really hard on Zeke Berry, and he's got, but he made a huge play that Michigan's offense turned into 3 points. So I think I've seen improvement from. I think the offensive line outside of right tackle has gotten better. I think they've been able to be a little bit more consistent in the run game. Pass pro still a work in progress, but I just haven't seen anything from the coaches where it's like, oh, okay, we're getting it. There's nothing there. There's been no improvement from them, and I don't know. I mean, sometimes you swing and miss when you hire coaches. You swing and miss on like 4 or 5 of them. That's not great.
And I think, I still try to give Sharon some grace because he did hiring in February, right?
For sure.
So I think that, as frustrated as I am right now, this year, you should be already in the portal, right? Essentially. You should be tamper. I do not care, right? Everybody's doing it, so I do not care. So they should be, from a coaching perspective and a talent player perspective, there's no excuse to be like, oh, well, we were playing in the Big Ten championship and we were playing, in the Rose Bowl, so we couldn't focus on it. No, if they are not focusing on that, then that's when I'm going to have an issue. But I'm going to give them a little bit of grace here, see what happens in December, January, February, and they need to show me, all right, how are we going to go win football games next year? And that means, go get a quarterback, right? Whether that's Bryce Underwood, praying, I pray to God every day for that. Which it helped a lot that LSU got their shit kicked in because
it wasn't even close. LSU fans were booing, throwing stuff on the field.
Nussmeier was terrible.
Yeah, well, we know what Nussmeier's sometimes can do for you.
Correct.
I was actually just thinking about that as you were talking about potential. We were talking about potential changes here. Bryce and a portal quarterback or high school recruit and there's got to be multiple portal guys. I think you probably need 2 high school recruits and a portal guy. Obviously, Jaden Davis hasn't played, and we'll see what that progression looks like. I think, Justin, not only just from a player personnel perspective, I think you need to get the jump. If you're going to make a change 3 weeks from today on, the Sunday after Michigan, Ohio State, you need to make that change now. Just promote an analyst. I don't give a shit. Like, whatever's happening right now clearly isn't working. So promote somebody from within the analyst desk that has the most experience around college football offenses and just, I don't know, wing it, right? Like Ohio State did this with Kerry Coombs. And you know what? What sucks is they still went 10-2. So I think you need to get the jump on it though, for sure. Like you need to be back channeling to guys you want to.
I think that's how you do it. I think that you try to keep whatever's ready because November 30th, I think we all are aware of how we think that game is going to go, but you have to give yourself a shot in that game and not just punt on it. But what you need to be doing is calling people on the back channel and saying, hey, we're going to make a move on November or on December 1st or whatever it is, right? And say, we need to start looking around. So that's how I see it. And if I think it's going to be very telling if that doesn't happen. It's going to be very, very telling. But I also, from a portal standpoint, you probably need 3 new linemen at least.
Yeah.
3 new linemen.
You need defensive, you need a lot because you're losing a lot, on the defensive side of the ball. But offensively, 3 or 4 linemen, 3 or 4 receivers. You're hoping that you could, pull off this gold mine of a recruiting class and all the flips that will come with it. But you need to go and get experienced guys, like a guy like Donovan McCulley, who's, was at Indiana, I think would be a great addition to this team for next year. You probably would like to get a tight end. Is there an AJ Barner laying in the weeds somewhere that we can go find that was underappreciated? But yeah, I'm with you. I mean, you got to go. Again, I said this word before, but you have to make wholesale changes, not only from your player personnel, but your coaching staff at this point.
You have to flip the roster and flip the staff.
What's great is you can do it.
That is, thank God, because
you can do it in 2 months.
If the portal didn't exist right now, I would be in a bad place. If we had to, hey, we're going to have to build and it's going to be 3 years, man, we'd be in a tough spot. So, it seems like NIL is going well at Michigan. So I think that's a good thing. There's a front office sports report that Bryce Underwood's deal is now $10 million. Every time there's an article, it goes up at least $3 million. It's out of control right now, how the media is covering this. But I would say if you're listening, and you're wondering if that's accurate or not, just go. If there's only ever one person reporting on things, it's usually not very true. I'll say that.
Did we miss our chance to go to the Belleville Saline game and sing Mr. Brightside in the stands?
Look,
I'm not hating. I'm not a hater.
Listen, I love my guy Dre.
Was Dre there?
Of course, Dre.
Oh, that's amazing.
Dre was leading.
I'm not a hater. I personally wouldn't do that. I would go. I honestly kind of want to just go see Bryce Underwood just because it's like going to see LeBron in high school, right? Kind of that, So I would just like to watch him play football. I don't know if I'd be, decked out.
It's a little bit of a tough look, I think.
But hey, maybe he saw that and then he saw the LSU fans leaving early, and maybe that's one of his big time recruiting pitches.
It was
fan appreciation,
until the LSU game went as it did. It was a tough look that we had a whole bus of Michigan fans that were at the game, and 12 hours later, he's wearing the LSU chain in Baton Rouge, and I'm like,
what are you going to wear on your visit?
Obviously, I'm just saying.
We'll see what happens with that, but yeah, man, there's got to be something that changes. I think is Biff Poggi about to be fired from Charlotte?
Bring him back as an associate, as director of culture immediately, dude.
Yeah, no. Yeah, I'm with that. Get him a bunch of cutoffs and let him roam around Ann Arbor. Just not even just for the football program, just for vibes.
We just need a vibes guy. We need new vibes.
Yeah, if I'm going to downtown and I'm a little upset that it's not the Emden anymore, Biff's just there hey, chin up, just makes me feel good that it's Rally House in Emden.
And then hoops. So we're recording this on Sunday afternoon. Michigan basketball lost to Wake Forest.
Really good game.
A great game. I mean, I really like what I'm seeing from this Michigan basketball team. I think we got a little too maybe excited after a big win over
Toledo,
right?
Cleveland State.
Cleveland State.
We've never been known to get excited about basketball in November, have we?
Never.
I don't know the last time we did that.
Yeah. So I think we got a little too out, in front of our skis. But they're going to be good. They're just not going to go. It's not going to be a John Beeline 2013 team from day one. Right?
No, and I think a lot of the problems that you see, I mean, the rebounding, 7 rebounds between the 2 7-footers, Danny Wolf and Vlad Golden, not ideal. I think there was probably some fouls you could have called on Wake Forest when Michigan was going for the rebound, but
Danny Wolf got murdered on one of them that was just a no call. But
yeah, so that aside, I think some of the issues plaguing this team, you don't really know who your go-to guy is. So when you have those, Michigan had 25 points at the 10-minute mark. Like, they were humming. They're up 13. And from that point on, you have a pretty long stretch where you cannot get the ball in the bucket. You had a long stretch in the second half where you couldn't get the ball in the bucket. So I think, this is a group of guys that, they went through practice together in the preseason, but, probably need, some more games. And you probably wish that Wake Forest game was like in December to get your footing underneath you. You play a couple more cupcakes.
I don't think it's I obviously you want that for your resume, right? Come tournament time. I don't think it's bad to play a team like that.
No, you see who you are. It's a good test. So I think a lot of the things, they had 16 turnovers. You definitely want to kind of clean that up. And then in the second half, again, the shooting went cold. They were 8 of 17 from 3 in the first half. I don't know what they finished in the second half, but they were like 3 of 11 at one point. Just could not get the ball to go in. And then in the end, you have that wet spot on the court.
What are we doing here? How is that? Okay, I'll give you one. Right? Hey, it got wet or sweaty, and nobody knew it. Twice in a row, and we didn't clean it up. I'm like, what is going on? So that was tough to watch because that actually did change the outcome of the game, honestly.
Can I just I don't know if this translates very well on the podcast, but one of my homies, Parker, definitely a great follow for Michigan fans, is Parker with a 3C. But he quote tweeted the picture of Jawan cleaning up the floor, and he's like, Michigan wins this game if Jawan's the head coach. That's a really tough break. I thought was it Ruben Jones with the ball at the top of the key? I thought he tore something the way his leg slipped. I was a little concerned. But yeah, and I think Wake Forest comes to play at LCA next year, so it's like a weird home and home off campus. I don't know, I would just rather have it be on campus at Chrysler at Wake Forest's arena.
Why are we if it's like a tournament or a round robin and you have 4 teams all at one spot, that's cool. I get those things. But playing these things, that's the cool part about college sports.
Well, have you also heard of the other cool thing about college sports, Justin? It's called money. How can I squeeze the life out of this? Just every cent possible.
I'm sorry, but are we squeezing the life out of Michigan versus Wake Forest basketball?
Yes. If there's money to be made,
Coliseum.
If there's money to be made for the NCAA executives, for the conference executives, for the TV executives, goddamn the product, Justin. We're going to squeeze the absolute shit out of it, and we're going to just, from its lifeless soul, we're just going to beat the shit out of that horse. That's what's wrong with college sports now. It's a business, like everything. I'll share this. I think it's just a microcosm of the greater world we live in America. We went to the mall in Novi today to go do some Christmas shopping and take our daughter. Dude, every turn, I'm getting sold something. Just leave me alone. Yeah, so that's, it's a part of American culture. And that culture is to just live and die by consumerism. And that's where we're at right now.
Let me ask you this. I know we're kind of going off on a tangent here, but
we are.
This is like old men yelling at clouds for sure. But is it a better option money-wise for you to have a half-full Greensboro Coliseum versus a packed Wake Forest, arena?
Somehow I'm sure they make that math work. I don't know how, but I'm sure that they do.
Well, you know what? I'm sick of it.
You sell it to the TV execs. Talk to the people at ABC, Disney, ESPN, and say, hey, we're going to do this to this great Greensboro arena that kind of stinks, but for some reason we're going to give you more money.
City in America, there's nothing there. I was there for the ACC tournament last year, and they stopped the ACC tournament being there because it was so bad, and they moved it to DC.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, the only thing I've ever known about Greensboro is the ACC basketball tournament. That's it, man.
Or they host the first round there all the time.
But no offense to the people of Greensboro.
There aren't that many of them. You're not going to offend too many people. But
no ill intent here. But
anyways, all right. So you know what? we are free for a week. Michigan football is off.
I can take a breather.
Thank God.
I kind of needed it.
And then we're back home against Northwestern, which I can't wait for the announcement of the 100,000 people in Michigan Stadium.
I'm so mad you're going to be gone from the tailgate.
I'm very sorry, but not mad at all.
Can I just bring like a lawn chair and just sit there for?
You guys should bring chairs that day, and just like it's just like a classic.
It's going to be dead, man.
It's going to be nobody in Ann Arbor, sadly. It's just this is what it's come to. A year ago, it was like even in this, a year ago, you're getting ready for Ohio State, and God, you're freaking 11.
You just beat Penn State, dude. A year ago today, I think sometime around this time a year ago, Michigan had just beat Penn State. Where vibes are high. We're dealing with the sign gate BS, but Michigan's winning, so it's all good. You go win a crappy game at Maryland, you come back, beat Ohio State, and then we just take rips of the Bongzilla at the tailgate till like 6 o'clock. Basically, they were like, "You guys have to leave." That's I don't think that's going to happen after the Northwestern game. Unfortunately, I don't know how many people are going to be excited.
A lot of things have changed in one calendar year, which is tough. But hey, you know what?
I will say
through thick and thin.
I do. We are here. I may bitch more than ever, but and I feel like a lot of people that I've met since moving to Ann Arbor, they're probably like, "Oh, Tanner's a pretty chill Michigan fan," until Michigan starts losing, and then I'm intolerable, and you hate to be around me, and I apologize for that, but that's just how I am. But yeah, it's gonna be nice to just have some time. We're getting close to Thanksgiving. Probably going to be one of the more stress-free Thanksgivings we've had in the last couple of years, honestly, as crappy as that sounds, or as crappy as it is to say, but I'm just gonna be chilling.
I'll say this: I'd rather be worrying about my team.
Yes, instead of I would too. 2022 worrying about, oh my God, is Blake Corum going to play? What's going on? Like that's way more fun than whatever the hell's going on right now. But it is what it is, and it's cyclical. College football is very cyclical. I just would like to be one of those few programs that's just steady 10-2 plus every single year. That would be nice. I just wanted that. We got the national championship. That was amazing, and I'm not.
Can we have something in the middle of a natty and 6-6? I think to your point earlier about the natty, like the natty would have covered me for an 8-4 or 9-3 year, which is where we should be at.
Yeah,
but it's not going to cover me. I'm sorry, for 6-6. That's not good enough.
No, it's not. Not at a place like Michigan. Not at a place where you hire somebody for continuity. Blown out by our boy Jim, unfortunately. So yeah, that's another point. Like with Sharon, like I get pissy. I may tweet things in the moment, but you obviously are going to give him time, and you're going to allow him to go through a full off season where he has total control from the start to be able to go and find a guy in the portal at quarterback and go find guys at other positions, and hire up and coming hot assistants that are like the big names and like see what happens. Versus it's February, I got to put together a short list of guys that I think could help because you're behind the 8 ball. So.
Yeah, I mean, for everybody out there thinking, if you have any thoughts that like we're gonna fire Sharon Moore after 1 year, it's not gonna happen. Rich Rod got 3 years, and he went 3-9, right? So that's not going to happen, and it shouldn't happen. You have to at least give the guy a chance.
Yes, but I will say on the topic of like how quickly you can turn things around, I don't next year want to hear you got to wait for him to get his guys in. I don't like that argument because what guys? It's the same offense, it's the same team.
I agree.
Like it's the same thing.
It's a different scenario than if you brought somebody not here in.
Yeah,
right?
it's not Rich Rod, right? Like Rich Rod's the reason you give Rich Rod time is because like this team has been a historically pro style of offense forever, and now they're going to try to modernize and go to what Rich Rodriguez ran at West Virginia with Pat White and Steve Slayton. That's not this.
Also, it's a different era with the portal, right?
Absolutely. Can you imagine Rich Rod with the portal? He might still be here.
Honestly, that's actually a fact. If
Noel Devine coming to Michigan,
if he could have brought all those, oh my God, that would have been amazing. But I think that also like you just watch Kurt Cignetti go 10-0 for the first time in Indiana program history, and he's in his first year.
Look at what I've been a big hater, but look at what Deion's doing in Colorado.
They're not bad.
I mean, they're 7-2.
It's possible. So
they're 7-2.
I know. So I want to give them leash, but it can't be unlimited leash. You know what I mean? It can't just go
right.
It can't just go completely unchecked.
Yeah,
right.
We can't just be sitting here. If next year is anywhere close to this, we'll have that conversation. But
I agree. And to be honest, I hate to say this, but we have to see what happens on November 30th. Right?
Yeah.
Because
that has to be a barometer.
It has to be. You have to show signs of life in that game, which is a tough ask because they're obviously 100 times more talented and better coached than us right now, and they're going to want blood, so they're going to try and score. This will be Ryan Day's actually trying to score 100 points, right? But you have to show fight in that. Otherwise, I'm going to be in a bad spot.
Yeah.
As much as I say I don't care anymore, I do and will that day.
Oh, I absolutely care. Like I still get nerves before games. Still, I will every time, no matter what. We are, but it's fun. It's fun until it's not, but then it gets fun again.
It's fun and terrible at the same time. So,
yeah, I mean, I would just like to win a natty before 2049. I don't want another 25-year gap.
I agree with that.
But dude, like we know what the ceiling is now. The ceiling is the absolute best team in the country. So this is one of those things where it's like, okay, like
you can do it.
You've seen it.
I agree. 3 years ago, 2019, I didn't think we could ever get there. I was like,
I didn't know if we could get there
to beat Alabama.
It's like, can Michigan win a playoff game?
Yeah.
And then they go and do it, and just it unlocks something within the fan base. I think that's probably why you see a lot of these movements within the NIL landscape. When it comes to Michigan, you probably see people like, oh, we can do that. So I'm gonna, spend my fun money here and try to go get a 5-star here or there. So
well, I mean, think about even back to 2021, where it's our best team in a long time, and then you get boat raced by Georgia, and it's like, okay, we're not even on their level, right? So that was my thought for a long time. But to your point, now you're like, okay, it can be done. You can win in this era at Michigan, right? You don't have to be in the SEC, and so. I think you gotta figure it out. I don't know. Bring Stallions back. Who knows?
You know what's crazy, and we've been going on for a while, but this year in college football, is there like an actual elite team?
No.
There's like a lot of really great teams, a lot of really good teams. The SEC is cannibalizing itself.
I agree, and I love it. I do love it. Oregon, even they're not untouchable. They're really good. But they're not untouchable.
Dude, I always think about, and what's great, if anybody has anything to say about this, guess what? My team did win the national championship last year, so like it's not revisionist history. But I think if you put last year's Michigan team in this season, Michigan's probably 9-1, 10-0, and maybe the best team in college football.
Wait, say
if you 2023 Michigan, you put them in this season in 2024, I don't think there's anybody touching them.
They would be 3-point favorites at least against everybody in the country right now.
Yeah. I mean, dude, remember last year? That was so sick.
That was so sick.
We should just do a podcast for like, remember last year? Like,
we should just do it every week. We just get on here and we recap last year's game.
Yeah.
Week 10 game.
Remember last year presented by Sun Cruiser and Truly. And we just like, bro, that was so sick when Blake Corum scored that touchdown. And you don't know what game we're talking about because Blake Corum scored in like every game. And all big games. He had a huge touchdown in Penn State, Ohio State, Alabama, Washington. Like he just was a monster.
Right now, I woke up this morning and I was the what is it? The Wolverine meme of like looking at the picture frame, and it's just JJ and Blake.
Yeah,
I'm just like, I miss you guys so much.
It's Jesse. It's just like you're getting down to like support staff. It's like you just miss some random person who like had nothing to do with anything. It's like Ben Herbert. It's like just only the psycho Michigan fans know who Ben Herbert is.
Yeah. All right. Well, that'll be it for us today. For us, you can follow us at Blue by 90 on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, at Blue by 90 podcast on YouTube, and blueby90.com. We appreciate you. Go Blue.
Go Blue.